Good morning and welcome back to Thoughts from a Dizzy Dude. Today is Friday, November 9th, 2018. Happy Friday. I hope you've had a good week. I have been fighting with technology, so fingers crossed that we get this episode out with no problems. So, how has your week been? Did you accomplish anything amazing? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. Today I'm going to talk about freefall, gravity, and weightlessness. Let me lock my wheelchair in place so I stop wobbling around. There we go. I thought this would be a good topic because I've noticed, I watch a lot of YouTube videos about space and the International Space Station, pretty much anything to do with astronomy, I'm there. And I've noticed that there is a misconception out there about what it would be like to experience weightlessness on the space station. And a lot of these comments seem to come from people who just don't quite understand how gravity and freefall work. And that's not too surprising because it's not really intuitive. And we don't have a lot of references in our normal daily lives about how this might work. So, let's talk about it. First, gravity. If you go back and watch An Orbit at a Tilt, I did a show on gravity, the Einstein versus Newton, and their somewhat competing theories of gravity. Gravity is one of those things that we still can't quite get a grasp on. Is it a force? Is it an effect of something else? Einstein suggested that gravity was the effect of the curvature of space-time. So a massive object like the Earth curves the space around it. So in orbit, you're actually going in a straight line. It's just that space curves around the Earth. So that straight line takes you around the Earth. To get to that point, you have to have the right velocity, the right speed, the right angle. You have to have enough momentum going sideways so that the gravity of the Earth, or this curvature of the space-time, doesn't cause you to fall down into the gravity well. So what's happening when the International Space Station orbits the Earth? It's falling and missing the Earth constantly falling. And this is called freefall because there is a limit to how fast something will fall. It's called terminal velocity. And it's the same for every object, no matter what its mass. That's why you can drop a bowling ball and a tennis ball from the top of a building, and they'll both fall at the same rate and hit the ground at the same time. You can try that for yourself. Maybe not a bowling ball. And watch out below before you drop it. So there's this idea that when you're falling, you get to a point where you are going as fast as you're going to go until you hit the ground. And skydivers experience this. So they jump out of the plane and you feel the rush of the falling, and then you even out your speed and you feel like you're floating. You're not floating, you're falling. But you're falling as fast as you're going to fall. And that's why it's called freefall. Another thing to understand is that we do not feel motion. We only feel changes in motion. And you've experienced this if you're in a car or a plane or a train, and things are steady. There's no turbulence. There's no bumping around. You don't feel like you're moving. You feel like you're sitting still, but you are moving. You're moving along with the train or the car. Now, if someone slams on the brakes, you feel that because you feel that change in velocity. So we only detect that when the speed changes or the direction changes. And if those two things are not changing, we can't tell that we're moving. And it just feels like we're floating. So the International Space Station and the astronauts aboard are all falling together. So in relation to each other, they're not moving. And because they're in freefall, there is no detectable downward pull. There's really no down, because the sideways motion and the terminal velocity is kind of canceling out the effect of gravity there. Now, there is gravity. Hi, Ken. Thanks for joining. There is gravity there, but they don't experience that because that sense of down is being compensated by the sense of forward. This is similar to buoyancy, which is why astronauts train in a gigantic pool. Hi, Danica. Good morning. And I've been a scuba diver since I was a child, and one of my favorite things to do was to get my buoyancy just perfect so that I could float in mid-water. So I'm not floating up. I'm not sinking down. I'm just there. It's tricky to do that because you have to get your weight and your breathing just right, but it's possible to do. And when you reach that equilibrium in buoyancy, you feel like you're in free fall. You feel like you're weightless. This translates into some strange behavior if you watch astronauts on the space station. And for people who are inclined to disbelieve that space exists, I won't talk too much about that. But for people who are inclined to think that this is fake, there are some things that they'll notice and might not understand, and could reinforce this idea that they already have that it's fake. For instance, you may notice when you're watching astronauts, if they're doing an event, they're standing in the front, they've got the microphone, and they're kind of floating, and they move around, okay, and you'll probably not notice right away, but they're constantly having to touch something. They'll touch the wall because they get a little slight drift. All right, because they're not attached, and so everything is just kind of falling. Right now, we're all falling together, but you've seen people skydive. You know that they don't just fall straight down; they can kind of go back and forth, right? So the same thing's happening on the space station. They start kind of this can happen even by breathing. You're breathing as a force, and that can cause you to just kind of start to drift off. And so that, they just kind of brace themselves. They also have little hooks that they can stick their foot under to kind of help them stay in one spot. Or they have bars that they can hold on to, but they don't have to. They can just float there. And if the circumstances are right, they can float there completely still without bobbing up and down, just like I can do underwater if I have my buoyancy correct. Now, eventually there's going to be some force that will act on them that will cause them to move. Okay? And because they're in free fall, there's nothing to stop them from moving unless they touch the wall or, grab a handhold. So that's what's happening in low Earth orbit. This constant fight between free fall and gravity is actually what keeps the station in orbit. And it's also what gives the astronauts that feeling of weightlessness. Now, weightlessness is a little bit of a misleading term because weight is a measurement of the effect of gravity on your mass. So my weight will change depending on the amount of gravity there is wherever I am. So if I go to the moon, there's less gravity there. I'll weigh less. I'm still made of the same amount of stuff. I still have the same mass. But weight is a function of gravity, and so I would weigh less. So weightlessness is, I don't like that term, but that's the one that is most commonly used. Free fall is a better description of what's happening. I know, Danica, let's go. Let's go to space. I want to go. Although it would probably make me really sick now. Ooh, which is a shame. My vertigo, I don't think, would do too well in free fall. Next time you watch a broadcast from the International Space Station, keep an eye out for those toe holds, those hand holds. And just because you don't understand what they're doing up there doesn't mean that it's not real. It just means that you don't understand what's going on up there. Thanks for tuning in today. That's it for Thoughts from a Dizzy Dude this week. Remember that you can tune in live Mondays through Fridays between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Central Time. Those times vary from day to day, so be sure to turn on notifications. Yesterday's show didn't upload. I don't know what happened. Still looking into that. But it is available on YouTube. So if you want to check out my YouTube channel, just search for Adam Tilted, one word. One word, Adam Tilted, all together. Have a fantastic weekend. And again, I want to know how you did this week. Let me know what's going on with you down in the comments. And I will see you on Monday.